26 minutes before 7 o'clock, we're continuing right along, and we're telling you now about a conference on Christian conduct and confession, and we have three gentlemen who can shed a lot more light on that for us all. It's my pleasure to welcome to our set Rabbi Ralph Messer. We also have Pastor George Stewart and Troy Innes, the organizer. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Morning Barbados.
Good morning. Sure.
All right, as the organizer, I should let you have the first opportunity to tell us all about this.
Okay, just briefly, we were just looking at the information. We were watching some DVDs, and we saw a guy on that DVD talking about how the conduct of a Christian is not lining up with the confession. And we thought that that was really good for the church. We thought that that would be a message that the church should hear. So the organizers, just three guys who normally just pray together, we decided to just, get into contact, and they answered.
Excellent. I'm kind of curious as to how you came up with, or how do you determine that confession wasn't lining up? Because isn't confession something that you do quite privately, just with, what did they say, you go into a dark cupboard and talk to the Lord?
You see, the Bible talks about, that they're the fruits. Therefore, you know a person by the fruit. So what happens is that you don't need to hear the confession itself. You just have to look at the person and see how they're operating, meaning the everyday walk, how they operate in life. Therefore, if a guy is saying that he's a Christian, but yes, so he's doing shady deals, that is his confession, really. You see, because he's not exercising that which he's talking about. So that's where the conduct, you see, which is what we're seeing, and the confession, they two must match.
Practicing what you preach.
Rebranding the word confession, not from the literal, but to be expanded about how people just conduct their lives. I'd like to bring in Rabbi Messer here. Welcome. Your take on the disconnect between the confession and how a Christian should be living their lives. What is your take on it now?
What we specifically, we're at a college, the International Center for Torah Study, and basically the Jews, our primary focus is, of course, how we operate and walk on the earth. Christians have a tendency to think more about heaven than they do earth. So their confession, when they confess Jesus as Lord, their confession, or positive confession, has more or less to deal with heaven than it is on earth. And whereas Jews, our focus is, we don't care what you believe or what you're confessing. We want to know how do you live. And so when your confession matches your conduct and how you conduct your life, that's called in Hebrew mahakavod, or the glory of God. And so it's like heaven on earth in essence. And so so that's the primary function that we see between Christians and Jews, and that's what we hope to bring together here.
Well, having said all that then, what should people be thinking about while they're here in terms of, explain to me essentially the difference between living good and living right, if there is such a thing in your mind.
The 97% of the assets in America are owned by 3% of the people called Jews, not because, or I should say, they're controlled, not owned by Jews. And it's not because Jews have great DNA or RNA, it's simply because they have this standard operating procedure for life called the Torah. It's a Hebrew term. In English you think of it as law, but in reality in Hebrew it's teaching and instruction, guidance and direction on how I relate to you and how you relate to me. And so what we do in this teaching right now, I primarily teach Christian pastors in the worldwide and Jews together, coming together as one, and basically sharing why are the Jewish people so successful in what they do on the earth, and what in their relationship and business and etc. And when we walk in the teaching and instruction of God, God's government and the kingdom, so to speak, the Torah, then we'll be successful in life. But what we currently have in Christianity is we have a lot of beliefs or belief systems or confessions, but Jews don't care what you believe, they want to know how you live.
Okay. I'd like to bring in Pastor Stewart here. Tell me how you're going to be contributing to this conference on Christian conduct and confession.
Well, I'm part of Rabbi's team that came with him, and we go worldwide and try to bring an understanding of what the Torah is, not the law, but like you said, the operating standard operating procedure for life. How you conduct your life. Because when you're born again, once you become born again, what do you do after that? You go back out and you start doing the same things that you were doing because you don't know how to operate your life. So when you become born again, here is a standard operating system that you should adhere to, you know, because there's no way you can get a driver's license and then continue to just go out there and drive just because you got a driver's license, you can go out there and do, you know, drive anywhere you want. You have to follow the standard operating procedure.
Why have you decided to label it the Conference on Christian Conduct and Confession?
Well, I think that was what was really laid on my heart. In light of actually what is going on in Barbados now, you know, a lot of debate, even here on CBC you have a program where, you know, the part of the clergy sitting down and discussing topics. One of the things that I noted is that, I'm not knocking anyone, that, you know, in the Barbadian context, you know, there's a lot of talk. But we want to see now how you conduct yourself every day. You see, walking all the stuff that you're talking. And to me that was important as a believer. You know, I saw that disconnect between, you know, we confessing a lot of stuff and raising our hand at church, but yet still, you know, you go down the road and see a fella in a rum shop. You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I thought that was the area that jumped out at me, and I went for it.
So are you trying to find a way to merge some of the Jewish standard operating procedures with Christianity?
Well, not merging. Remember that the first believers were Jews. So it is not a matter of merging, it's a matter of rediscovery.
Okay. You want?
Well, you know, the year was 721 BCE. The northern and southern kingdoms of Israel split. The southern kingdom was made up of half the tribe of Levi, Benjamin and Judah, called the house of Judah. They went up, and very shortly, they went up into Babylon, and then they came back to Israel. Those are the sovereign Israelis who live in Israel. Then we had, because Israel wasn't originally called Israel, it was called Greater Africa. I had dual citizenship in Israel and here. And basically what happened is that the southern kingdom that was ended up in Israel, the northern kingdom, called the lost 10 tribes of Israel, were scattered, of course, first went up into Assyria. The black Jews went down to Africa and to primarily West Africa. That's why we're very interested in talking here, because they went to an area called Benin. West Africa was the largest slave port area, and then ironically coming all the way over to Barbados and this very, so Barbados to me in 32 years of teaching the Torah as a rabbi is the key, what I would call the key number one I would say territorial area to bring history back to our understanding of those lost in tribes. Many of the Jews worldwide know when we do DNA and RNA testing on bloodlines, we're finding not at all, but many of the black Barbados people and etc., that you have the K chromosome in your blood, which represents you were Kohanim, or priests in the temple. So in other words, at 721 BCE, you're priests in the temple, and then of course the tribe of Dan and the tribe of Judah merged together after that time. In West Africa, the tribe of Dan was D-A, and then they merged, and the tribe of Judah that owned West Africa was called Homi, and that's where you get the word Dahomey, or Benin, West Africa. And so when I go to black people in America and they call their friends their homies, we tell them about where you came from, Dahomey, West Africa. And of course from there the slave trade routes came to Barbados, and you know more about it than I would ever, and of course they ended up throughout the Caribbean and America.
Yeah. Quite apart from understanding Torah law and figuring out how to make the connection between conduct and confession, this conference sounds like it's also going to be a great history lesson.
Yes,
so before we have to wrap up, can we get some times, dates, locations, who is invited, who can come, and who can change their mode of confession?
Okay, well, it is open to everyone, whether you're Methodist, Catholic, whatever. It is the 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is today, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the Wesleyan, White Park Wesleyan Tabernacle.
Okay.
We're going to be there. You're going to have a lot of teaching from the rabbi. So, you know, we're inviting everyone to come out and listen and be able to understand it's not a matter of a particular religious belief,
Okay.
but it's the way that you need to function here on the earth, you know, before you get to heaven.
That's right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The conference on Christian conduct and confession is today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
Yeah.
The Wesleyan Tabernacle, it's 7 o'clock. We've been speaking with Rabbi Ralph Messer, Pastor George Stewart, and Troy Innes, the organizer. Thank you so much all for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we're talking about the world of technology with Gabriel Abed. Don't go away.